Right, that's it. We are ready. We are live. We are broadcasting. Thank you very much for joining. The reason I'm saying it's interesting is every single channel that we're broadcasting on is just full. This is the first time I've ever had this. Zoom say that they have a lot of people waiting, which is fantastic. I've never seen that before. There's a waiting room in Zoom. Who knew? So I'm also broadcasting on YouTube. So every so often you see me do that, that means I'm just checking that my YouTube's on. I just got to trust it. It's going to work. We've tested it. This is all about how to be brilliant at broadcasting. So I better be on my best behavior tonight, and I better be giving you some tools and techniques that will make a difference to your broadcasting in the future. So first thing I want you to do is just to check that we can see you. We've got chat open, which is great. So if anybody wants to leave little comments on chat, that's great. Look at that. Hi, Michael, your music is on. Of course it's on. That's what we do at the start. It's been professional, Andrew. We're being professional, playing a bit of music. It's like a seminar. You know, when you walk in the room, some people have seminars and the music's playing and you feel really good. Another place you walk in, it's dead. Well, we always have music playing when we do a seminar. It's the same with a webinar. So thank you very much for that. Good evening. Yes, it is great to be here. Thank you. I'm having a lovely, lovely, lovely time already. So many nice people. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could just test one of the comments there, that would be great. If anybody wants to just type in something so that they can actually comment, leave something there, that would be good. Also, we've got Q&A. We've got question and answer. That is where we will be answering questions. We will not be answering questions in the chat. It's very, very nice to say stuff in the chat. We love the chat. That's great. Please, please, please put stuff in the chat. Say where you are, all that type of stuff. Please do that. That's a very, very nice idea. But you will answer questions in Q&A. So if you're watching on Zoom, in Q&A is where we're going to answer your questions. So feed them in as many as you like. I will stay here and answer your questions all night. But the plan right now is that we're going to broadcast for about 45 minutes, and then we are going to go in and do the Q&A after that. That's the plan. So I just thought it might be fun to start off with a little poll. So if you're watching on Zoom, I'm going to launch a poll for you. It's got a very important question that I would need you to answer tonight. So there we go. I've launched the poll. The poll is now open. Newcastle's chances. Will Newcastle United ever win a cup? Okay, so if you could vote now on that, that's great. If you could say, come on, I need some people with a bit more faith than that I can see right now. So you've got another few seconds to make your prediction in there. Make your vote in the poll. Will Newcastle United ever win a cup? I can't believe it. The poll's about to end. We've got the last few people just voting now. Oh my goodness. End the poll, and here we go. And the results, I'll share the results with you. Share the results. My goodness, there we go. So we've got, of course, maybe next season. I love that. That's you being enthusiastic and positive, thinking that maybe, just maybe, Newcastle United could win something. Not in my lifetime. Who's saying that? 40% of people. Not in many lifetimes. 22% of people. Thanks very much for that. So this is polling, and it's a great little tool to use when you launch a webinar. Gets people nice and comfortable using the controls. It actually doesn't matter what the poll is about. We will be sharing other polls throughout this webinar, but isn't that a nice little way to get started? Just by getting people to click on the button and to start. So it's lovely. It is really, really lovely that we have all these people joining us who want to learn how to be a brilliant broadcaster. What I've done is I have created a whole bunch of slides that I'm going to share, but also I am going to check my notes as I go through. So this is important to know that some people think you have to do these things all completely live without any notes. Now, if I was doing a how to be brilliant presentation, no problem at all. I could stand up and I could do that to this camera. I can speak for an hour without taking breath. This is the first time I've put this together. So here's what you do. When you have notes, you say to your audience, I've written this down because it's important. So I will be referring to notes. And if you would like a copy of the slides, let me know, and I will send you a copy of the slides later on. Quite a nice thing to do. Simple, but also it gives you a justification right now for why you should have notes in front of you. There's nothing wrong with notes, especially with the amount of material that I want to share with you today. So today, let me have a look at what we're going to be covering. Well, first of all, we'll do a little share the screen here. This is one of those nice little things that you can do in Zoom. Very, very easy. A lot of these webinar technologies allow you to do it. I always have a simple way of using PowerPoint, which I'm going to reveal to you later on how I do it to make sure that we don't get messed up. I don't cover my whole screen. And but the key thing to remember when you're using PowerPoint in a webinar is no fancy transitions, because it takes a lot of memory and you don't want to be doing that. So what I'm going to be doing is you're going to notice as I go through today lots of do's and don'ts. And the reason for that is because I think I like learning that way. Do this, don't do that. Test this, don't do this, do that. All that type of stuff. It's great. It's a nice way to learn with do's and don'ts. So make sure you've got your notepad, make sure you've got a pen ready and start writing these things down, because better a short pencil than a long memory. I'm sure you've heard that before. So I've got to start off with a question for you. And the question is this: where will you be broadcasting? Right. So where are you going to be broadcasting in the next few months? Now, if I'd asked this question a year ago, probably the vast majority of people who will be online right now might be saying stuff like, well, I don't know whether I'll be broadcasting or not. I don't know. I don't know where I would be, what I would be doing. Now we are in a different world and everybody is using this technology. My mum is on Zoom. Okay, can you believe it? My mum is on Zoom. She is broadcasting to the family. She's broadcasting to people. There's my good old mum on Zoom with her iPad. Who would have thought? Could you ever imagine having a conference call ever again? The good old conference call. Could you see yourself doing that? I don't think that's going to happen anymore. People won't be doing that. So where will you be broadcasting? I'm going to launch a poll here. And there's a few questions for you. Let's find out just from the people, and you can vote as many times as this is multiple choice. Meetings, i.e. Zoom conferences and things like that, webinars, company updates, promoting your product or services, video emails, training, other things as well that I perhaps haven't thought about. Go on, vote away. Do as many people. I want as many votes as possible. We've got 100 people online here. We've still got a waiting room. Sorry about the people in the waiting room. Wish I could just say to you, go over to YouTube. It's happening over there as well. But yeah, we'll get a lot of votes coming in. Let's make sure that you voted. Wow, look at this. Look at this. This is extraordinary. I wouldn't have guessed this. I wouldn't have guessed these numbers to be as high as they are. So here's the first one. Let's just, I think most people have voted there. We'll end the poll. Let's have a look at the results there. Okay, so 88% of people will be using video in conferences, like Zoom conferences. 64% of people doing webinars. Company updates, 37%. That's a third of the people who are on this call. We're doing some kind of company updates. Promoting your product or service, over half, 56%. If you are not using video to promote your product, to show people what you have, to showcase what you have, then you are in the, 10 years ago. I mean, you should be doing it before this, but now that's the way to do it. I saw a guy the other day doing this great walk around. He was showing somebody around a house. He was a estate agent. He just had his phone and he did a brilliant job with it. Really, really good. Had the people on the other end, he's showing them a house that they potentially would want to buy. Lots of people doing stuff like that. Video emails is going to be huge. People will receive an email, they'll click on it, there'll be a video message from you. 30, 60 seconds. Hi, I'm introducing myself. Imagine doing that. Imagine being in sales and being able to have a little chat with somebody and then boom, video straight out to them 30 seconds later. Hi, it was great to talk to you just now. Training, 65% of people will be using this for training. This is my new normal. Oh, there we are. Wait a minute. Lockdown bingo, new normal. Cha-ching. It's the new normal, of course it is. People will be doing this much more. It's amazing. So, but we got a lot of people doing stuff here. That's incredible. Ultimately, the big one, 88% of people meetings, i.e. Zoom conferences. Whoa! So we are in a different world. Some people look great. Some people come across great. Other people look like dorks. So what are we going to do to make sure that you don't look like a dork and that you're going to look great? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn how to do this stuff properly. And it all starts with this thing here, the camera. and the camera setup. So I'm going to switch over to slides here. I'm going to share a few things with you on the slides on camera setup. If you are going to be broadcasting from home and you're going to be using your laptop or something like that to broadcast, don't walk around the house with your laptop or your iPad. Instead, it's much easier if you just walk around with your phone. So what you can do is you can set your phone up, and you can just do a little bit of a switch around like that, so that it's pointing towards you, and then very, very easily walk around and make sure you can have a look at where the best light's going to be, where you're going to look really good. Once you get it set up using your phone, then you can set up your laptop or you can set up your iPad, and it's much easier doing it that way. You can have a look at all the usual mistakes that people make. I mean, oh my goodness, there's loads of things that people do. And we've seen them all, haven't we? We've definitely seen them all. There's this person. Oh, there you are, use your phone. This person, we've all seen them. They're great, aren't they? Is it on? And then we've got the other extreme, of course, which is this person. They're miles away. It's like they've set the laptop up or they've set the computer up and they're like at the other side of the room somewhere, this tiny little dot. Sometimes I think it's being cool to be that far back, when they lie back in their chair, do all that type of stuff. It's not cool. You wouldn't do that in a meeting. Just think about it. This is virtual reality. So this is using what would be the normal reality. What would you normally do in a meeting? What type of people do you want to have in meetings with you? Engage people, people who sit forward, people who are there with their arms on the table. Don't want all this. So people sat there checking their phones and all that type of thing as well. Oh no, we don't want all that. So we want people who are engaged. So that's how you should be as well when you're in these meetings, nice and engaged. Next thing is, where should you be on the screen? So there's a little rule of thumb here, is that try and avoid, if possible, doing that thing where you're straight in the middle. I sometimes find myself going over there. This is kind of where you should be, just off there. So if you were to draw a grid, you can see that there's a perfect place there for the eyes. And it's kind of this just off the halfway and then about 2/3 of the way up. That is the perfect place for an eye line. When you do that, when you've managed to get your camera set up and you're in the right sort of place, then we can start and do some other stuff. So I'm just have a little look here. See, we've got some questions coming in. That's great. All right. Please, would you, in the questions, and ask questions, right? I know we don't want the abuse about Mike Ashley. Thanks very much, but we can get shot of that one there. Thanks, Toby. I'll show you how to put music on. I'm going to do that definitely. When you say full, how many people is that? We've got 100 on the Zoom, and then we are going to have there's a whole bunch of people who are over here on YouTube, which is great. And there's people saying that they can't see the slides on YouTube. Oh, that's interesting. Oh well, I'll send them to you. We'll find a way. Okay. So I asked the question before about what type of broadcaster you want to be. You want to be a brilliant broadcaster. There's no doubt about it. So enthusiasm and all that type of stuff is great, but it means nothing if people can't see you. So getting the camera in the right place is absolutely critical. We're going to use your phone to go around and get things set up. Here's the next thing. You want to know how to lose a few pounds? And there's a whole bunch of people who are watching who are Slimming World people. This is the best Slimming World tip ever. Make sure that the camera is up there and not down there. When people have a camera down there and they're doing all that stuff, then immediately you've got your extra chins on the go, right? You want to lose 5 kilos, 10, 11 pounds straight away, get your camera up nice and high. And here's one of the biggest challenges. The reason why that happens, it's because of these things, because of iPads and the clever way that they're set up at an angle like that. So as you can see, when an iPad is set up like that, you put it down, where's it going to be looking? Yeah, straight up your schneck. And we don't want that. So it needs to be up here. Now, here's the challenge, of course. You put your iPad up there. Where's it looking now? If you know where the lens is, there we go. There's my little arrow. I always have an arrow. I'll tell you about that in a second for where it might be. Then it's going to be pointing up in the air. So a little trick, what I do is, if I'm ever going to be using an iPad, maybe just doing something at home, just chatting with my mum or something like that, I put it up nice and high, and then I take a glasses case and I put it down the back like that. So you can see now I've got a glasses case. Can you see that? There we go, down the back. And now my iPad sits up nice and straight. And then when I put it up on something, so I'll put it up onto a tray or something, or what else do I use? I use those boxes, those file boxes. So I've got a little table and I put it on there, or a pile of books or something like that. And then when you put it up, it's going to be nice and straight facing towards you. The next thing is knowing where to look, because sometimes people are looking over there. They're looking all over the place. Why do they do that? Well, the reason why is because often, especially with iPads, is that the camera isn't very obvious. So I have this for my iPad. Isn't that obvious? Yeah, it's an arrow, and it's a sticky arrow, and I just point it straight towards that little hole where the lens is. On my phone, I can't do that. It's too much. So what I do with my phone is I use a tiny piece of white tack. Can you see that there? Okay, tiny bit of white tack, and I stick that right next to the lens. So you can see that there. Oh, there's Christine chilling out. So it's right next to where the lens is. Notice the lens isn't in the middle. So the difference between me looking there, straight down the lens, engaging with somebody, and me looking over there, so I can see myself, big difference. Most people are looking down there. It's great to be able to see yourself. Hey, how are you doing? Great. Yeah, it's fantastic. Look, I want to talk to you about this fantastic new business idea of mine. Yeah, I know, it's really, really exciting, isn't it? No eye contact. You want to be up there, straight down the lens. Forget about yourself. You shouldn't care less what you look like. Don't care. Once you've set it up, don't care what you look like. It's straight down that lens. So use that camera. Next thing is, let's go back to Edna here. I do like Edna as an example of a person to use. She's great. She is. Hey, lighting. Now, I'm going to tell you something very, very obvious. Every single person who I've talked to knows this, and yet I probably see it, especially as you start and flick through LinkedIn and see people doing their stuff on there. It's this. There's a nice bright window, and what we're going to do is we're just going to stand in front of it because I'm feeling really, really good. Yeah, you think it's going to be good, and all people see is some kind of strange outline. Now, if you can't see people's faces, if you can't see what they're doing, then immediately a level of trust starts to go. Right, as an immediate level of trust starts to go if you can't see what's happening in people's faces. We read faces really, really well. So please make sure that you don't have the light behind you. Next thing that we can do, though, is we can create some light in the right place. Now, if you're very fortunate and you've got a nice bright area, you can go and you can sit and you might get the light coming through the windows. The challenge with that, especially for the people who are watching from the UK right now, is that if we are doing stuff and we are watching ourselves and we're all nicely lit, and then suddenly the clouds come in, suddenly your lighting goes out. So if you want to do this professionally, if you want to do it really well, you've got to invest in some lighting. And it doesn't cost a huge amount these days to get some lighting. You want diffused lighting, okay? LED diffused lighting. So I'm using 2 lights here, okay? And I've got them very, very gently set, just a bit of a wash with the light. Some people use those lighting rings and they put their phone in the middle of it. That's fine, particularly good if you're doing makeup demonstrations. Not so good if you're giving a report to the board. So just think about the type of light that you want to use. If you're into this, I would invest maybe about 50 quid on some decent lights, maybe up to 100 quid, but get a good camera. You're better off investing in a good camera rather than the one that came with your dodgy old Dell laptop. So lighting, yeah, that's very important. What's more important than lighting? Sound. What's more important than video? Sound. And here's one of the challenges that we have is that we use video and we can see ourselves and we can replay things and have a look at ourselves. You can see what you look like live, but sound is more difficult. And one of the challenges with sound is that it's quite easy to go over the top. So you practice at one level, you talk like that, then you start your presentation. Suddenly, oh, you're now animated, now you're really going for it, you've got all that energy and all that type of stuff, and it can distort if you're not careful. I've been guilty of that before. So most of these good cameras will also have a pretty good microphone. Some people invest in these things. Okay, so this stuff, you've seen these people with this gubbins going on, and normally what they're doing is they're very proud of the fact that they paid 100 quid for a microphone, so they do their webinar like that. I don't think that's particularly a good look to have, so I would suggest that instead of doing that, that you might instead just use that for your voiceover work, and instead just learn how to use the mic that you've got. Zoom's really good. It will tell you how to do it. I'm just going to share the screen again here so you can see what you can bring up here. It's very, very smart. So there's a setting in Zoom and it's audio. And when you go to audio, you'll see there, you can test, right? So it says test speaker, test mic. When you test your mic, right, and you start doing stuff, if you're starting to distort, you'll know. So if I do mine now, we'll do this live so we can see how it would work. Okay, I should stop the share so you can see it. All right, so audio settings, there they go. So I'm chatting away now and I can see, you know, that classic graphic equalizer type thing, it's going to a nice place. It's looking really, really good. If I start and do there, then suddenly you can hardly hear me. If I go up there, then there's a chance that I might start to distort. So I can see that and work it out. Remember I used to record albums onto your cassette decks? People used to do that? Yeah, you remember that. And then there's a nice little thing where you can hit test mic and it'll play back and you understand if you're going to be a little bit too loud. Very, very nice, very simple tool that's available in Zoom. It's probably available in the other things as well. I'm using Zoom. If we go into every single other method or device for broadcasting, we'll be here all night. I want to get as many ideas over to you as possible. So we've done lighting, we've done sound. Okay, oh, I was still sharing there, so I stopped sharing, so I could have shown you a little bit better. That's one of the things that is a bit of a challenge sometimes with this, is that you remembering when you're sharing and when you're not sharing. That can be a challenge sometimes, so I have to be very, very careful. Apologies there that I didn't have the full video on when I was showing you how the sound stuff worked. Anyway, we're all good. We're all friends. You are all friends? Yeah, okay. Also, with sound, so I've got to share again because I've got to show you this slide. This is the classic thing that people have, and this is an urban myth, right? Urban myth is this, that you are going to need to have some fantastic kind of headset on. Have you seen the people, you go into a Zoom and they've got a great big headset on, so they've got a great big microphone around like that. They look like they're landing a plane on an aircraft carrier, right? So you don't want to be doing that. What you want to be doing is you want to be getting the, I think I've got another one as well. Look at this kid, made his own headphones. Sorry, entertains me. Yeah, so so you don't need that these days. We don't need to have all that mad stuff happening up there and big microphones around there. Probably if you were kind of getting something that was happening in the background, even just some of these, they're fine. Or AirPods, they can be all right, but most of the microphones that are built in, especially the ones that are built in to decent cameras, are really good. Now, backgrounds. So backgrounds are important. Here's one of the challenges that I see is that people haven't actually thought about what's behind them. They go in, they start to broadcast, and it's a clip. It's a mess. It looks terrible. So I've been looking for people who are good with their backgrounds recently. I found a really, really brilliant one. I was watching a broadcast the other day by this lovely lady, Lisa Clifford, and I just had to take some screenshots. So have a little look at that there. What do you notice? Okay, first of all, she looks really good, doesn't she? I mean, everything's coordinated. She's in a shed, I think. It's very, very simple. It's very clear. She's got a few lights and stuff up. Looks really, really good. If you are on LinkedIn, then you know, you should connect with her. Lisa Clifford, absolutely fantastic, and she does a really nice, gentle broadcast in there as well, which I think you could benefit from. Next person I want to share is Steve Mitchell. Now, Steve Mitchell, let me just explain about Steve. Steve and I go back a long, long way, and he introduced me to Zoom. He said, look, I want to teach you about this thing called Zoom. It's brilliant, Michael. And it was years and years and years ago. And at the time, I remember thinking, ooh, I should buy shares. I should buy shares. Buy shares in Zoom. Wouldn't that have been great? Probably would have sold them before now and then missed this big boost that Zoom's had. But I've asked Steve if he wouldn't mind if we did a little video of his setup. So let me just show you the setup that Steve has. And he's shared a very, very kind little video. So here we go.
Well, Michael, first things first, something you and I chatted long and hard about: lighting. Get the lighting right on your face. So really, really important. Never backlit, never sit in front of a window. To get away from the window, okay, because that's not good lighting, not flattering lighting. But then very importantly, backdrop is important. It can't be distracting, but it's at the same time got to be professional in its look. I like a map. I just went, and I'll tell you now, that comes straight out of IKEA. Nothing very exciting there. You can pick it up for about $50, $50, 50 euros, whatever it might be. And it's a really big kind of picture. And then just a couple of curiosity things I have. I love a quote. I've got a whole bunch of these around my house, Michael, and I just change them around. So whenever I do them once a week, I get one off the wall and I put one over there. And it's just a fun thing, really. Something you told me to do, which is very important, is obviously make sure I'm not stuck right in the middle. So make sure I'm over to one side. That's one thing I do. And also, I'm in an echoey room, so the sound is not very good right now. And the way I get around that when I'm actually doing a Zoom or doing any webinar is I have just put a towel out. If you're in a room that is quite solid, make sure you've got something to absorb the sound. If you've got curtains, stuff like that, no problem at all, because that will absorb it all. I don't have, so I end up, when I am doing one, I put loads of things to absorb noise. So I don't know, anything else perhaps or whatever. Oh, and what you wear, real important, okay? So if it's a professional one you're doing, a nice sharp shirt, don't turn up in a scruffy t-shirt. I apologize today. I was doing a webinar and I was actually talking about lifestyle. So I threw this t-shirt on.
Thank you very much, Steve. So I think Steve's watching tonight. He is brilliant. He does this all the time. And I just loved his background. I think it works really well. I think it looks nice. He looks great with it. He's involved with a real lifestyle business. So he's in Spain. He's just outside of Marbella. Really manages to capture that atmosphere. Now, I did say I was going to share a few little tricks of the trade. So screen share, you've noticed that I've talked about screen share several times, and screen share is very, very important to be able to do. A lot of people, what they do is they get a little bit mixed up with screen share and they end up sharing everything. And all those icons and all those bits and bobs and all those, embarrassing things that you didn't really mean to can suddenly pop up. So what I do is I make sure that beforehand I've set everything up, and especially if I'm using PowerPoint, I've got a lovely little tip for you. If you should ever use PowerPoint, this is absolutely great. You're going to love it. So here's what we do. I'm going to go into my PowerPoint screen share there. Okay. When you are in screen sharing, if you're using PowerPoint, there's a setting, and if you don't know about this, then this is going to change your life. If you do know about it and you're going to go, oh my God, I knew about that. Well, that's fair enough. That's all good. And it's over here, and it's this one here called Setup Slideshow. When you go to Setup Slideshow and you click on there, there are various options. And one of the options is browsed by an individual window. Okay, browse by an individual window. When you click on there, you will get an individual window. So if you only have one screen on your computer and you're wondering how you're going to share your PowerPoint and you click on it, it takes up your whole screen. You can't see what else is going on. If you do browse as an individual window, you can then choose when you share from Zoom just to share that individual window. So your PowerPoint can be on there. It can be running all the time. You don't have to stop and go in and out it. And then if you want to stop sharing, you just click the button and you go right back to where you are. I love that. I absolutely love it. It's one of the best tools ever for when you're using PowerPoint. You can do the same sort of thing with Excel and various other bits as well. Make sure you've got them all set up beforehand, all ready to go. I'm going to give you a checklist in a minute, and that's in there. It's very important to be able to do that. So people who are on Zoom, I've got a question for you. I've got a poll for you. I am enjoying my polls here. Next poll is devices. Okay, so I'm going to launch this poll here. Very simple question. Attendees who are watching this, which devices will you use to broadcast? Okay, a desk computer, a laptop with a built-in camera, iPad, mobile phone, or a pro setup, something where you might have an SLR camera set up, something like that. Let's have a little look. What are you going to be using? We've got multiple choice here. desk computer, laptop with built-in camera, iPad, mobile phone. If you're watching on the YouTube live version, then this is just a poll. Just have a little look at what people are saying. Interesting. Okay, so laptop with built-in camera is absolutely the most common one. Let's have a little look here. Laptop with built-in camera, 76% of people. iPad, 23%. Desk computer, 29%. Mobile phone. So mobile phones, let's talk a little bit about how we're going to use our mobile phone. This should be one of the most incredible, simple things ever for broadcasting, and yet people manage to complicate it so much. That's the classic challenge there. People who are used to talking and doing that type of thing. When did that start, by the way? Setting your phone away, walking down the street talking like that. When did that all happen? So your mobile phone can be absolutely amazing for broadcasting. The cameras on them are really, really incredible. And the challenge is, of course, is that people don't know where to look. So I've shown you that. You put your little spot on there, show you where you can look. Here's the other classic thing. People start off and they do it this way, and then they turn it that way halfway through talking. Now, if you're recording a video, what your clever phone is going to do is it's going to think that you're trying to turn it that way so that people get the effect of it being turned around. That's why you get those videos sometimes, and you'll see them, classic Facebook videos, stuff like that, where suddenly it's been whizzed around that way and it's all of it sideways, and you're trying to watch it like that. People can't understand what's happened. So whichever way you're going to broadcast, then that's the way you need to be holding your phone. If you're broadcasting on Instagram, it's that way. If you're broadcasting on Facebook, better off that way, if you can do it. Or if you're going to be broadcasting on LinkedIn that way, or pretty much anything else that way. The eyes, human eyes, are looking out that way. They're not looking up and down that way. Okay, so think about it. You've got to be getting as much in that way as possible. When you start practicing with this, and I want you to practice, I want you to be broadcasting, doing all sorts of stuff in the next few days. Just test out and just see which one's going to look best. And when you look back at it, I pretty much promise you that you're going to prefer to do a landscape view rather than doing a portrait view. Where am I up to? Oh man, I've got loads to do. Loads to do, and not a huge amount of time to do it. Zoom meetings. Right, so Zoom meetings are becoming more and more important. People are using Zoom all the time. And I think there is a certain list of things to consider before you go on to a Zoom meeting. So let me just share the screen here. As I say, if you want to get a copy of these slides, let me know, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of the slides as well. This is my 9-point checklist before you do a Zoom. All right, so if you can do these 9 things beforehand, it'll make your Zoom so much better. First one is restart your computer. Now, it seems a bit silly because why would we need to do that? Because your computer is running all sorts of gubbins in the background. All sorts of things are happening in the background. You want to be getting those all tidied up. Sometimes it starts to do software updates and all manner of things. You don't want to be doing that in the middle of a Zoom or in the middle of a meeting. So if you can, restart your computer and do it a good time beforehand. I was doing a broadcast this morning. Christy and I were doing a little bit of a double act. We were doing our 6 ways to survive and thrive in a lockdown. And I thought, okay, time to restart my computer. I was a little bit tardy. Normally I would do it at least half an hour beforehand. This time I started at 15 minutes beforehand. Guess what happened? Yes, software update starts. It's going to take 20 minutes. Now I do this a lot, so I always have my spare computer ready. Okay, spare. So I've got my main one here. I've got my other one there ready to go. So I just set it up, plugged in my camera. I was fine, no problem at all. But if I only had one computer and suddenly I'm meant to be on at 10 o'clock doing my broadcast, doing my meeting, can you imagine what that would have been like? Software update, you can't stop those things. Once it starts, that's it. You know what Apple are like with the, I think Windows do the same sort of stuff as well. So restart your computer, do it in good time. Next thing is, if possible, be wired. Wi-Fi is brilliant. It's a wonderful invention, but all sorts of things can interfere with it. I know somebody who had a lot of problems with their Zoom meetings, especially around about lunchtime, and they couldn't quite understand why. The cafeteria or the bait room where it wasn't a proper cafeteria, but the room where people would go and have their food had 2 microwaves in it that the staff would go in and heat up their food. When the microwave started, the Wi-Fi directly above went all a bit wobbly, and that was what was causing the problems. So they were actually getting knocked out of the meetings. By the way, we've got some people who are raising their hands. If you've got a question, pop it into the questions, okay? Pop it into the questions. I will answer them all. I am definitely going to answer every single one of them. So if you have a question, don't put your hand up, type it into there. That's great. Why you're better off having sideways for Facebook? I'll explain that. I'll do that. Don't worry, I will go through it. Ideally, you want to be square for Facebook, but it's difficult to do. So restart your computer, be wide. Next thing, turn your emails off. Bling, bling. That's one thing that happens. The thing that happens is when your emails are on and you're in a meeting, here's what you're going to do. Bling. You know that? You've seen people do that, haven't you? Bling. Look over there. Meant to be in the meeting. Oh, there's an email. I'll just see if I can respond to that. You cannot be in the room when your emails are popping on. Imagine a Zoom meeting is just like a normal meeting. Notifications, same thing. Turn them off. With your phone, anywhere else that you can, turn them off. Check your video. Check your video that it's working. Sometimes it's difficult because you actually haven't gone into the actual meeting yet. So it's like, how are you going to do it? Have another program that you can check your video with. So if you've got a Mac, you can go into Photo Booth. I'm just going to bring it up. They have no point. I can see myself. Bring up Photo Booth. Have a little look in there. Just check. See how you look. If you need to move lights around, you can do all that type of stuff. Check that it's working. Check your sound. I showed you how to do that before. Very, very simple to do, very easy to do, smart way to get a starter meeting with good sound. And check your background. So your background, so I do this thing, I've always done this. I've been in my office and I've had all my books behind me. Have you noticed just recently, they've started this thing where people are taking the piss out of people who've got books behind them? It's like suddenly a thing where people are completely ripping out. They're calling them bookshelf. I think they call them bookshelf wankers is what they call them, or bookshelf tossers or something like that. And it's because people who've got bookshelves behind them, it's as if they've got some kind of an ego thing because they've got all these books behind them. You don't have to have loads of different books behind you like Harry Potter or whatever. You just need to have a certain selection of books, such as 5-Star Service, How to Save an Hour Every Day, or The Edge, or Flip It, or Brilliant Life. They're all the important ones. I know. So your background, Steve, I think was perfect. His background is absolutely brilliant. Really, really great. Looks fantastic. Looks wonderful. And then the final thing is check your shares. So if you're going to be sharing something, make sure that you're able to check stuff. Okay, that you're able to check it, that it's going to work, that your PowerPoint's going to work, that type of thing. It's not the final one. There's one more. Clear distractions. Hey, isn't it cute when a little dog comes in, starts barking, or a little kid walks in or something like that in the meeting? Yeah, it is cute once. It's cute once. After that, they are just distractions. Would you do it at work? If you wouldn't do it at work, don't do it on a Zoom. Right. So there's our Zoom etiquette. Allow other people to finish before you interrupt. It's so obvious, isn't it? Mute yourself when you're not speaking. Allow people to finish. There is a method on Zoom. Obviously, some people have done it now where we're doing this with a broadcast where you can click a button and put your hand up. The best I've seen this, I saw somebody the other day, they had 47 people on. If somebody wanted to speak, they just literally did that with their hands. You don't have to click the buttons or whatever. Whoever was chairing it, to see the person's name. Michael, would you like to come on now? Yeah, great. They went in. That is better than using the technology. Who knew? Right, how are we doing here, folks? 1840, 20 minutes, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to get onto. I was going to talk a bit about going live, so let's do that now. I think that more and more people are getting into this idea of going live and sharing content and sharing ideas. If you are on Facebook, or if you manage to get a live LinkedIn account, or on Instagram or wherever else, if you can go live, you are going to get right up there in the ratings. The challenge is this: people are terrified about the idea of going live. They're terrified about doing a live broadcast. Now, it's interesting, but why would people be so scared about doing a live broadcast, because there's actually nobody here. There's nobody here to upset. There's nobody sat there at the front of your audience who's suddenly giving it the, or all that type of stuff. And I think that actually is the problem. It's because we don't know. We don't know who we're talking to. And Terry Wogan had that wonderful quote, didn't he, where he said, people say, what's it like to talk to 8 million people? He said, I don't talk to 8 million, I talk to one. And he imagines that he's just talking to one person. That's what I do. I have one person, and there she is, my little Lego person. And she just sits there up on the top of my computer, and that's who I'm talking to. And my presentations and my chats, they're all for that person. If I'm in a Zoom meeting, it's different, but this is a live we're talking about now. We're going live. And the thing about going live with video is that people's expectations of you are very, very low. It doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter when you go live. If you spend a bit of time just making sure the next thing's set up, and then clicking over here and then doing that, and just make sure everything's all right there. Yeah, okay. So we're going to talk about 3 things when it comes to going live: confidence, content, and chat. Different type of chat this time. So first of all, how do you build your confidence for going live? It's simple. You just go live. You just got to do it. You just got to test it out. Even if the first time you broadcast, there was 2 people watching, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Just go for it. Just broadcast, get it out there, do a live onto your Facebook group, onto a YouTube channel, onto Instagram or whatever. Just get on there and do it. And that's what builds your confidence. It's that first step out of your comfort zone is tough. There's some organizations I know who are doing amazing daily updates at the moment. And to watch their chief exec and their directors go from where they were when they first started, hello, here we are, we're all locked down, and I'm just going to communicate with you, make sure that you're all okay, to suddenly now they're like, hi, here we go, it's day number 28, and here's a company update for you. Blah, blah, blah. Why? Because they've done it 28 times. You cannot beat that experience. But also when you're doing lives, just a live into Instagram or whatever, you can make loads of mistakes, and it's absolutely fine. In fact, people almost expect you to make a few mistakes. And the classic that people say to me is, Mike, I'd like to do lives, but I have no idea what to talk about. I know exactly what you can talk about. It's all in here. This is the secret to knowing what to talk about. It's the same when people write newsletters. So I write a newsletter probably twice a week now, sending out stuff to different lists of people, different groups of people. And people say, how do you think of stuff to write about? It's easy. I could write a newsletter every single day, because all sorts of stuff's going on in my life every single day. And I've usually got a photograph of it, or I've got an email about it, or a message about it. So if you're looking for content, take your telephone, go into your photographs, and just start and have a look back. And I am promising you, you will find content. You will find stuff to talk about, examples, little things to chat about. And that's the next bit. It's chat. So like just asking people, hi, how are you doing? Where are you watching from? All that type of thing. And then waiting a little while, get some responses back. It's fine. It's just chat. That's all we want to do. All we want to do is chat with people. It's like an invitation just to come along and have a little, this is just water at the moment. Actually, it's a Monday, so it'll definitely just be water. You can just have a little chat. You can slow down. You can just say, just give me a second. I'll go and get something. I have a friend of mine who draws. He does art. And he'll just sit and he'll just draw a picture. He does a live of him drawing a picture each day. And every so often he has a little chat. It's the most wonderful thing to watch, because he's a brilliant, brilliant artist. He's called Alfie Joey. If he's watching, then Alfie, you are absolutely amazing. He's also a broadcaster on BBC Radio Newcastle and a great event host and loads of other things. But he does these drawings and he just sits and he just draws and he just chats. And it really is absolutely wonderful. So we've got 2 more things I want to cover, and then we're going to go and do your questions. Now, here's a classic thing with lives. I've got a question for you. What is it with cars and walking? Why do people feel the need to do their lives either in the car? Some people do them in the car driving. There's one person I know who does this thing called just drive time, and he drives along talking to his mobile phone every day. Crazy. It's America though, so it's okay. I think they're allowed to do it there. In the UK, my goodness, you wouldn't want to be doing that. So, but people walk along, don't they? And it seemed to be this thing that took off. I'm just walking along here. I'm walking along next to the canal, and I'm just sharing my thoughts for the day. And I'm just walking. I'm walking because when I walk, it reminds me that we've got to put one foot in front of the other. When it started to take off about a year and a half ago, I did a video for LinkedIn, and it was called the broadcast with no agenda, or something like that, or a video with no agenda. And it was literally me just walking and talking about nothing, and it got 130,000 views. I'll do something which I think is great quality, top 5 ways to do this, or fantastic idea on that, or whatever. Nothing, like 2,000 or 3,000 views. Walk along the street just talking, saying nothing, with no agenda, no content. That was it, no content, not no agenda. Video with no content, and it got 130,000 views. So I'm going to share something with you, because you can see the difference here when you are walking and talking to when you're just sitting down. Let's have a look at this. It's quite a difference between walking along with your phone like this and just sitting, talking, being relaxed, and trying to hold the phone as still as possible. Different. Very, very different, isn't it? So I want you to think about when you're broadcasting, about how you're going to be, how you want to come across. Do you want to be one of these people who's just walking along, banging on about stuff with no agenda, or do you want to just be a little bit thoughtful? And being a little bit thoughtful, I think, is what people need these days. It's such a great idea. And every 10 to 15 minutes, you want some kind of an activity, something for people to do, something for people to consider. That's why I've been doing these polls. At the moment on Zoom, we started off with 100 people. I've got 95 people still watching, which is amazing. Over on YouTube, I have no idea what the numbers are, but there's probably a couple of hundred people watching on YouTube as well. And I think one of the reasons for that is that I'm always offering people something to do. So yeah, it is me just chatting. I am just bantering, but I'm also asking you to think about stuff, to write stuff down, to answer polls. In fact, I've got one more poll for you. Hang on. Oh, here we go. All right, I'm going to do that in a second. Yeah, I'll confess there, I lost my place for a second. I absolutely lost where I was up to just for a second. I've got it back now, but I'd lost. And the reason why is that I suddenly looked at the poll and I'd forgot that I was still sharing the last poll. So a bunch of people have had that poll stuck on their screen for a while. It's all right. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. So we're going to get into answering your questions. And we've got loads and loads of questions. We've got 23 open questions. I'm going to answer as many as possible. But first, I have a very special request for you. So I want to do this webinar, but I didn't want to charge you anything for doing it. I thought it was really important to be able to do something and not charge a fee for it. But I'm hoping, and I'm going to launch the poll now, just what we've done so far, without actually doing the final bit with a question and answer. I'm just asking here about, how useful is the stuff that we've had here, that you've been doing today. So, we've got the choices for the people who are watching on YouTube were brilliant, good, not bad, terrible, I want a refund. So if people were saying terrible, I want a refund, then I'm going to worry a bit about that one. But the vast majority of people saying that it's been brilliant or good. So that's nice. That's lovely. I don't want to charge you. However, I do want to ask you if you wouldn't mind doing something for me. Now, I gave you a heads up. I said I wouldn't be pitching you. There's no more extra event. There's no advanced program. There's no something that should have been, £10,000 today, yesterday, sorry, but today it's yours for just 97. Always end in a 7, don't they, those things? No, it's not going to be like that. But I do have something what I would like you to do. If you've enjoyed today, if you've thought, oh, it was pretty good, I enjoyed that, I've got something out, I've got some content out of it, I've got some ideas out of it. We haven't done the Q&A yet, we're going to do that in a minute. But if you've enjoyed it, here's what I want you to do. Put a value on it in your head. How much would you pay for a webinar that would be like that? Might be £100, might be £200, might be £10. I don't care what it is, but just get the amount that you've got in your head. If someone was doing this commercially, how much they would charge. Now I want you to half it, right? So if you had £100, then go to £50. Okay, get that amount in your head. And I would like you to give that to a charity called the Community Foundation. So let me tell you a bit about the Community Foundation. Christine and I have supported the Community Foundation, Tyne and Weir in Northumberland, and they do national grants as well for other things as well. But we've supported them now for many years, and we've built up a fund. It's called the Michael and Christine Heppel Fund, and it is extraordinary what we've been able to do. We have helped so many different people, and we call it giving them brilliant opportunities. Now, for one person, the brilliant opportunity was to get them involved with an arts festival, and we were able to pay for them to go and do that. We also helped an organization that was getting young girls out of the sex industry. It's one of the most incredible things to see, to give the confidence and to give the belief that they could get out of, such a terrible industry. Girls that have been groomed since they were, 12 or 13 years old. And then to be able to help them, a brilliant, rewarding thing. We've helped with projects that are tackling racism. We've helped with community projects. We've helped with arts projects. We've helped with, community projects. We've helped with individual grants. We helped one young lad to go off to university, train to be a doctor. He's now qualified, and he's now fighting the COVID thing. And he was from one of the really toughest areas in Newcastle, but this was one of the brightest kids you could ever imagine. And we helped him. So there's loads of things that we can do with the fund. And here's how you can get involved if you would like to. Now, this is entirely voluntary, okay? Absolutely voluntary. I am not saying you have to do it. This is just if you would like to, if you had good value from this today, would like you to see if you would consider giving a donation to the Community Foundation. So the long one there, justgiving.com/fundraising/brilliant opportunities. Or if you know how to use the, I need to finish the poll there. So I'll just do that, share the results and stop sharing. There we go. My apologies, still have the poll going. If you know how to use bit.ly links, it's Brill Ops. Okay, so you can go there, you can do when we finish. I will send you an email with the link as well. So if you're on our list, and you're registered for this, you'll get an email with the link in there. It'd be brilliant, absolutely brilliant if you would consider doing that. Don't have to, it's optional, but I think it would be quite nice. Now, it's interesting as well that whilst talking about doing the charitable stuff, we lost 10 people from Zoom. 10 people disappear as you start to talk about doing a charitable donation. You don't have to, it's an option, just that would be a nice thing. Right, shall we have a little look at the questions that people have got? And we'll use the last part of this session to answer some questions. So I'm going to go stop sharing there for a second. Right. When you say full, how many people is that? So I've answered that one. That was, we had, 100 people. You can get 100 people for a professional account on Zoom, on webinars. And then after that, the prices start to really rocket up if you go to more. We tend to find that 100 people is more than adequate. I thought we were going to have about 50 today. We had about over 300 and something register. If you're doing a webinar like this, you can get a dropout of at least half. We've done brilliantly today. We've managed to keep so many people. It's been fantastic. So that was Colin's question. How do you put the music on? Okay, so the music I embed into the PowerPoint. So I get an audio track, I embed it, and I put it on a loop into the PowerPoint. That's how I do the music. Next one. How can we make sure that people stay engaged? So polls are really good. Asking people to do stuff. If you're on a Zoom meeting, get people to put their hands up, get them to say stuff. If I'm doing a live, I always ask people where they're from at the start. I always answer the questions at the end. And halfway through, I'll have something. I'll have, a little thing. Do you agree with me about this? Get people to type stuff in. That's a really, really powerful way to do it. What else have we got here? How do you simultaneous stream between YouTube and Zoom? Thank you very much. Great question, Angie. There is a button on Zoom. So what you have to do is you've got to set up your YouTube channel. First of all, you've got to have a YouTube channel that you can broadcast into. And then if you have a look along the bottom of Zoom, there's the 3 little dots, and you click on those 3 little dots, and it says that you've got live stream, and the options you've got are Workplace, which is the Facebook thing for work. You can go into Facebook or you can go into YouTube. What I do is I set up a private group where I am the only member, and that's where I practice. You can also practice privately on YouTube as well, just to make sure everything works. Pretty simple way to do it. You can also set up private broadcasts just to test it out. It's a really, really great tool. The mirror effect in Zoom confuses the heck out of me. Do you appear on the right of the screen to me, but they said we should be on the left of center. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're on the left of center or the right of center or whichever way around it is of center. It doesn't matter. Just don't be straight down the middle, right? Newsreaders are never straight down the middle, Tony. So go off to one side. That's all we're saying. Is this Zoom webinar package? I have Zoom Pro, but I think you need to buy a different one. No, if you've got Zoom Pro, it's there, Julie. It is definitely there. You should be able to do the broadcast. If you get stuck with that, let me know. I know that we're in touch, so you can let me know about that. Any tips for filming outside? I'll be doing virtual tours of our farm. Brilliant. Okay. If you're going outside, the biggest challenge you'll have will be noise of wind sound. So you can get microphones that will connect up to your phone, get external microphones with a little windsock on. Clip the little microphone there, and as you're doing the tour around, make sure it's got that little windsock. You know those things that look like all a bit furry? Not all those great big ones on a stick, you don't need that. But having a little windsock on a microphone will make a massive difference. People, you know, have you ever seen those when people do birthday messages or Christmas messages? And you get that person who sat outside, I just want birthday, right? It's because they weren't near enough. Get closer to the camera as well. Don't be frightened to get nice and close. Your face can take up about a half of the image. It's okay. That's all good. See, still all right. Brilliant that you're going to be doing virtual. You know, this is, I'm sure that Libby will be part of the National Farm Attractions group who we did a presentation for. And I am just heartbroken about their industry at the moment, but how amazing some of them are being with some of the stuff that they're doing and how they're adapting. Fantastic. Well done, Libby. Can you recommend a good camera and lighting setup, Michael? Yeah, Logi, I spent about £70 on a Logi Tech. Where's my box? I don't have the box anymore, probably. Yeah, about £70. Logitech's pretty good. Go on to Amazon, and then the lighting. You know what I'll do. Oh, you've done the question as anonymous. I was going to offer to send you a link with it. All right, but hey, a million different things on Amazon that you can check up. Loads and loads of stuff there. Thank you. Tim Brown, Michael says that I've had problems with sound quality and interference. Only thing that cured it was my headset. That makes me appear like a B-Tech airline pilot. Any plug-in ideas? Yes, there is a bit of kit that you can get which reduces sound interference. And if you give me 2 seconds, I will find the answer to that for you. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it over here on this machine. But there is a bit of kit that you can use. Give me 2 seconds. I hope you don't mind me that I'm finding out the answer to this as we do it live, but it is such a wonderful, wonderful bit of kit. Actually, I'm wondering, I think somebody WhatsApped it to me. Oh, this is bad now. Here we go. They sent us a WhatsApp. So there's a bit of kit you can get, and it's called Crisp.ai. Capital, it's a KRISP.ai. What it does is it takes out background noise. Crisp, KRISP.ai. I'm lucky. I live in an area where I don't have much background noise, but it'll get rid of a lot of all that stuff. Give it a test. Test it out, see what you think. Great question, Tim. Thank you very much. Can you use individual windows with Keynote? Yes, you can. Same thing. PowerPoint, Keynote, same thing. You can do that. Definitely. I know you can. I've seen people do it. I would like the slides, please. Great. Okay, so Colin, here's what you need to do. If you'd like the slides, the emails that we've been sending out to remind you, just reply to one of those emails, okay? And tomorrow we'll send out the slides to anybody who responds, who says that they would like the slides, so we can do that. My employer has banned Zoom because of security. Do you have a view on this? Yes, Susan, what are you doing? Are you a bank? Are you sharing national secrets? My guess is probably not. Complete overreaction. Classic thing that people do is they read something in the Daily Mail and they think that China's hacking into everything. Honestly, most people couldn't give a chuff what you're talking about, unless you're doing something that is high security. But if the UK government are using Zoom, I'm pretty much happy with that. Debbie, why are you better having sideways for Facebook? Oh, people don't turn their phone to watch. They don't, but it's for the video, not for when people are watching. Okay, so video, especially if you're doing a live, you might want to do it that way. That's fine. But if you're recording something that you're going to upload, do it that way. Especially if you're showing people around your shop and you're showing people around your products. Debbie has a fantastic shop in Kent where she supplies baby products, pushchairs, prams, all that type of stuff. And she's brilliant at going around and explaining what they are and the features and the benefits and all that type of stuff. Test it out both ways, see which one you think is going to work best for you. Hi, Michael. What are your thoughts on virtual backgrounds? Oh, thank you very much. I've got it written down here. I've got it written down. I haven't even covered it. Virtual backgrounds, tell you my opinion, useless, hopeless, terrible. Honestly, why do people think that suddenly sticking up a green screen, even without the green screen? For those of you who don't know, the old virtual background thing is when people, you go into their broadcast and they're like this. Hi. Yeah, here we go. Thanks very much. You don't want to be doing that. No, 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 no. Even sticking in your own that can move around and stuff like that. No, you don't want to be doing virtual backgrounds. They look terrible. It looks like bad green screen from 1974 from a bad Dalek thing. One thing you can do, which looks really good, is there's an enhance button. I don't know if you've seen the enhance button that you can press on, and it just makes you look a little bit better. I'll show you me with the enhance button and without the enhance button. This is really good. Here we go. It's me. I've got enhance on now. Trying to take out a few wrinkles and things. And when I just switch it off, see what a difference that makes. That's the enhance button. Takes what, at least 10, 20 years off you. Hope you enjoyed that. What else have we got here? Other questions. Madalena, do you know if there's a way to randomly select participants for them to speak during a webinar in Zoom or Teams? I'm planning to do a training webinar, and I would like to sort of force people to speak up. So what I would do, I would set up a randomizer. There's a great little randomizer app for iPads. Put everybody's names in there. You just hit a button, bzz, spins up, and a name will pop up. Andy Alderson was doing that with one of his team briefs recently. It was really, really cool. That was good. Should you edit your video or shoot it in one go? Debbie, if you're doing a live, you obviously can't edit. That's it. It just goes out live, whatever it is, but people love it live. There's something about somebody doing it live. I could have recorded this, I could have edited it today, and then just played it, and I'm sure that the engagement would have been a lot smaller. So, you know, if you are doing it live, then great. If you want to do a different type of video, then have a theme for it. Can you please repeat the 3 points regarding going live? Confidence, chat, and content. Content, what you're going to talk about, the 3 C's there. How do you set up polls on Zoom? You go in, when you set up your webinar, when you go to broadcast, it's one of the options in there. You have email, for the communication that you have with people. Zoom seems to be doing funny things with email. A whole bunch of people got an email today saying that they were going to join How to Save an Hour Every Day, which we did in December. It doesn't say it anywhere on my stuff, it just randomly sent it out. What's the best way to try and get more people to view your posts? Is it a good idea to hashtags or tag people? The tagging people is as naff as you can get. If anybody tags me in a video, right, that because they want me to go on and make a comment on it, I'm like, wait a minute, that's like almost grabbing a hold of me and going, hi, Michael, endorse this. I want to go on to stuff because I want to go on to it. I would just keep broadcasting. If you're doing stuff on LinkedIn, just pick your channel and go for it. I use Facebook, and I've set up a group on Facebook. If you're not a member of it, then you should be joining. It's called How to Be Brilliant. Go into Facebook/groups/How to Be Brilliant and join that group, and you will see me doing lives there and videos there all the time. How do you add music? I've done that. I've already covered that one. You set up polls prior to the broadcast. Yes, you do. You can set them up on the fly as you go, but it's best to set them up beforehand. It's one of the options there. Can you step us through screen share? Yes, I can. So Andrew, here's what we do. screen share, green button at the bottom of your screen. You click on it and you get given a set of options. So I've got desktop 1, desktop 2, phone or iPad via AirPlay. I'm going to be going to Microsoft PowerPoint, not a desktop, just the individual window. And when I go into there, only that window is going to come up. So, you know, my mouse, you see it's kind of going on and off there. That's because it's going in and out of that particular window that's been set up. That's how you do that. Okay. Hints and tips do you have when your broadcast is a live interview? What a brilliant question, Ben. So hints and tips is people, when they do an interview, they like to see two folk chatting. That's what we like. We like to be a fly on the wall, seeing two people chat. If you do it too much, kind of broadcast straight out to people, then it's not as much fun as when somebody's chatting. When I do podcast interviews, and I've done loads of podcast interviews, I love being interviewed for podcasts. If you've got one, I'll do an interview for you, no problem at all. Love doing that. If anybody kind of has their standard set of 5 or 6 questions that they always ask, I'm going to take them off piece with that as quickly as possible. We're going to have a chat. Same with interviews. Get the two people on. There's a brilliant bit of kit called StreamYard, and you can have your two people up there. Make sure you know which way around you're looking, and you can actually look slightly at each other when you do your chat as well. That's quite nice. Sarah Williams, what's the best length of time for a webinar to sell or demo a product or service? Never too long, only too boring. You'll know when people start to drop off. People are dropping off now. It doesn't matter. That's fine. I'm happy with people dropping off when I get to the questions, because some people have got to go and have their tea, and we said we're going to take an hour and we're 7 minutes past the hour now. That's fine. But if your main presentation, you've just got to keep people engaged. You just want to be keeping your energy levels up. You know, if sometimes you'll have dropped into a live broadcast and somebody's like sat there doing this sort of thing. Hello, I'm talking to my friend here. Blah, blah, blah. You're not going to watch for more than 20 seconds, 10 seconds probably. You're on, you're off. If you've got lots of energy, if you're putting it out there, if you're communicating straight down the lens to somebody, you're going to get people that are going to stay with you a lot longer. Next question that we've got here. Are you using an external camera? I use the external camera. I use the Logitech one. Thank you for this webinar. How do you do the music as an outset built into the PowerPoint? What's the best way of people to sing together? I have no idea. I haven't got a clue. Philippa, any tips on how to keep your own energy level high on the long webinar, for example, for our training sessions? Yes. Give people a task, you go and do something, come back to it, right? Have your, switch your camera off every so often and get yourself, you know, perked up to do something, Philippa. You know, yeah, long sessions, and you keeping your energy levels up, but that's what you're paid for. You're a professional, you're a trainer. You can do that when other people can't, and that's why people will use you to do training with them, and why they won't use others, because at the end of 4 hours, you're still perky, you're still ready to go, you've still got the energy, whereas other people have given up after 20 minutes. Would you recommend an auto cue app? Sometimes, yes. If you're going to use an auto cue app, then there's the ones that scroll up on your phone. The slight challenge is you'll never be looking at the lens. You're always going to be doing that thing where you're just slightly off. Okay, so you'll be just doing that. Whereas if you are using proper auto cue, you can look straight through it. You can buy them now. You can buy the little boxes that an iPad sticks on the bottom of. They're pretty cool. But I don't think people want to see you being too perfect. I don't think they want that, Karen. I think they kind of quite like the idea that it's a little bit raw and you might make the odd mistake. Gillian, hi Gillian. What about the length of live videos? Again, never too long, only too boring. I tend to try and stick to under 30 minutes, but I can talk for Britain. I just go on and on and on. And you probably noticed that tonight. Will this stay on YouTube for a while? I think so, Casey. I can't guarantee it. A lot of people have asked, you know, will there be a broadcast encore? I don't know. I don't know if we can. Sorry, Michael, my internet went down exactly when you answered my question. Could you repeat it? Or send it in by mail, or can I replay on YouTube? I can't remember what the question was. Ask the question again just now, and we'll do it. There's Sue saying, hi, Michael. How do we get a professional haircut in a lockdown for our videos? No idea. Look at the state of mine. I'm that close to going Leo Sayer. That's what's going to happen next. Suddenly, my hair, 4 and a bit weeks in, maybe from not having a haircut, it just suddenly starts to get a mind of its own. It'll start to expand. If you watch me do my lives on my How to Be Brilliant page, you're going to see them. They're going to go. It's going to be crazy. How about praying on Zoom? Yeah, if that's your thing, why not? Any tips for doing a job interview by video? Yes, think you're there live. Do it exactly as if you were there live. Get there early. Look brilliant. Make sure everything's set up, all your materials, everything done. Go for it. Be relaxed. Be attentive. Make sure you have no other distractions. If you were in an interview and you started looking off and seeing what was through the window when the interviewer was asking you a question, you're not going to get the job. It's the same thing with this. Be intense. Be absolutely there. Be as present as you can. And I tell you what, if you've got a really good background, if you're demonstrating the type of person who you are, if your lighting looks good, if you sound good, if you're using good visuals, then you are going to be streets ahead. And this is how people are going to get interviewed these days, more and more so. There'll be less queuing up outside of somebody's office before you go in and the HR person starts next one. They're going to be done like this, and they'll be probably doing 10 people in a day, and you've got to stand out. And to stand out, you've got to be better than anybody else. And that's why we're doing this type of webinar. Great question. Thank you very much. Got a few more, then we're nearly done. Any recommendations on the best way to edit? I use Final Cut Pro, but there's loads of other things. Debbie, drop me a little note. I'll give you a few things that are super, super simple to use. If you're using a Mac, there's lots more stuff for Macs than there are for PCs. Can we hear you sing, Leo? Say absolutely not, Jeff. Thanks very much for asking, though. Do you know if there's a way to randomly select participants? Ah, yes, that was your question. Yes, there is. There's a way, there's an app. Andy Alderson used it, and it's a name generator. You put in everybody's names, and then you press a button as the thing spins around, and then a name pops up. It's usually used to pick winners for things, but you could use that, and it would be very, very effective as a way to share who's going to speak next on a webinar. Right. So look, we've got loads of lovely comments on the chat as well. I'm not going to go through all of those right now. If you've enjoyed this, I really, really hope that you would consider adding to the amazing work that they do at the Community Foundation and consider making a donation. So there's the link. I'm going to send you an email. It'll arrive in the next 4 or 5 minutes with a link. If it's in your mind and you're thinking, I don't want to do a big Bob Geldof on you, by the way. I'm not going to go send us the fucking money or anything like that. I'm not doing that. But it's going to be very interesting for us to see, if people have got some value from it, and if they put a monetary value on it, then half it, and then send it to the Community Foundation. They do amazing stuff. You can do your gift aid if you're paying for it through work, and you can claim that as a work expense. But I am not saying that you've swapped it, okay? You have not swapped this webinar for a donation. Illegal. We don't want to be doing that. It's because you wanted to help the Community Foundation that Michael was talking about. Hey, I've loved this today. Thank you very much, everybody. We will be broadcasting every Friday and Monday on my How to Be Brilliant Facebook page. We do lives. We do Fix It Friday, where I answer people's questions, and we do Magic Monday on a Monday. On this Wednesday night, we've got our virtual, what will start as a book club, and then we decided to change it, and it's now called Talk TED, where we review a TED Talk. Super simple. You just get a whole bunch of people on Zoom, and we all have a little chat about it. You can watch it or you can participate in it. You can do either. And that's on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, again on our Facebook group. If you are not a member, then you've got to join. It's great fun. So thanks very much, everybody. I really do appreciate your time today. I said I was going to talk for an hour. I've been on for 1 hour and 24 minutes altogether, broadcasting live for about 1 hour and 14 minutes of that. I think I could do with a wee gin and tonic. Thanks very much. Be brilliant, everybody.